Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Mike, host of the free iTunes podcast, Psychiatric Secrets Revealed with Dr. Mike. But that's not why I'm here today. This is another Saving Savvy episode. And in this episode, it's sort of a sequel to my last episode, which was our Chromebooks, good or garbage. And this is actually an episode kind of directed towards teachers. Now, of course, I'm not a teacher, I'm a doctor, but I do have two high school age kids who received Chromebooks. And being a very compulsive person, I started to think about various scenarios. And of course, Chromebooks are really great at things like word processing, spreadsheets, presentations, using those little apps to do things like study cards and all that. And so Chromebooks really serve the majority of the needs that any school student would have. But there's one area that's a little lacking, and that's in the area of multimedia, even things like photographs, audio recordings, and video editing. So I thought what I would do is spend a little time talking about those things and ways around them if you have a bunch of kids and don't want to buy expensive add-on web software. I want to talk about things that could be free or near free if you're doing these things. So um, because I have had a bunch of kids and they've gone through school, I know that a constant need for them is photographs. They put photographs in reports, they put them in PowerPoint presentations. I also know that they sometimes use videos. And so my one daughter used a video that she made in a PowerPoint presentation. At another point, she had to do actually a 6-minute video, which is pretty long, with a team. And this was, believe it or not, in Latin class of all places. But that was a very complicated thing too. And sometimes my kids will practice speeches or practice their musical instruments by recording them and playing them back. So I know audio recordings are also important. So I thought, well, how can these things be accomplished on a Chromebook? And the big problem with a Chromebook in these situations is that the files are pretty big, and you have to upload those files to the cloud, do your work, and then download whatever you're going to get. So that's easy if you're doing a word processing document, but a little more difficult with these larger files. So let's go with the easiest ones first and work our way up to more and more difficult solutions. So certainly there have been a lot of photo apps out there, and your typical JPEG is going to be a couple megabytes or less, so it's not really that big, and it's pretty amenable to using a web-based service. So Google, of course, the mother of all large apps, has come through several different renditions of how they handle photos. So originally they had Picasa Web, which is, I guess, now fading out. Then they had Google Plus, and now they have Google Photos. And Google Photos' advantages is that you can load an unlimited number of photos up to 16 megapixels, and the software will convert larger files down to that, and kind of store it on their Google's photo site, which is really great. And there is a little mini editor in Google Photos where you can do some basic things like adjust brightness or like contrast and those sorts of things. So probably enough for most people, but not enough for perhaps a more advanced student or a high school student that wants to do better photo editing. So there are some programs that you can use that I found on the Chrome store that are also quite useful. And I'm going to probably pronounce this wrong, but it's Pixlr, and I pronounce it as Pixel. But, hey, you're teachers, you know better than I do. So there's a program called Pixel Editor. And this is actually a pretty full-functioning editor on the web that edits one photograph at a time. And it really almost looks like Photoshop Elements type of program. Not quite as complex, but really very, very sophisticated. So for those advanced students, they can use that program. There's also a more simple program called Pixel Express that introduces some kind of fun types of effects and things that kids might like. So what basically has to happen is if you upload your photos to Google Photos and then you want to go down and use one of these other editors on, let's say, a single photo that you want to improve, you basically have to download that photo back to your Chromebook, upload it to the Pixel Editor or Pixel Express, download it back to your Chromebook, and up. So you have to do a lot of this shifting with a lot of these different options, but that's the way it is. So you're going to just do this to a select number of photographs. So that's my photo options, and I'm sure you can find many other photo editors out there, but these three seem to work pretty well, and I think would accomplish most individuals' needs. Well, what about audio recording? So audio files tend to be bigger than JPEG files. And so there are a couple of programs that I would recommend just because I've used them and played around with them. One is called Audio Recorder. Again, you can find this on the Chromebook. Very simple. Press a button to record, press that same button to stop, and then there's a little thing that looks like a disk drive on the side. Press that once and it's saved to your hard drive or wherever else you want to send it in your Chromebook settings. Now, it doesn't make a noise, it doesn't say saved or anything, so you just press it once, otherwise you get 10 copies of the same little file. And that's great for simple recording. There's also another wonderful program out there that's free. These are all free, by the way, and it's called Beautiful Audio, and I think it's Beautiful Audio Recorder. Now, this is actually an audio workstation that this man, David, has created. I've corresponded with him over a minor issue, and it was incredibly gracious and solved my problem, and just seems like a very nice guy. Anyways, Beautiful Audio allows you to record multiple tracks, so you can record something and then go back and record something else. You can even upload files from your computer. Maybe you have a bumper or something, a little music transition or something that you want to throw in there. So it's a very sophisticated program, and I do a week or a monthly podcast, and I typically, of course, use software on my Mac computer. But with a little work, I could probably edit that podcast with this particular beautiful audio program. It's that powerful. So highly recommended. Now, both of these programs save in what's called a WAV file, which is an uncompressed and very large file. So that's fine if you're doing a little bit and you're going to record it to your little solid state drive on your Chromebook and then delete it when you're done. But if you have to send that file anywhere, it's going to be way too big. So you have to typically convert a WAV file into a smaller, more compressed file. In most cases, that's going to be an MP3 file. So with this beautiful audio program, you actually have an option of buying an additional sort of add-on to the program that will convert the files to MP3s, and it's a little bit over $3, so certainly cheap and an absolute bargain. However, if you have a classroom of kids, it might be too much. So there are some web-based programs, another one that you can download from the Chrome store called Cloud Converter, and that will take your big WAV file and convert it into a smaller MP3 file, and you can actually tell the program how much you want to compress that file to make the file smaller. It won't sound quite as good, or bigger. It will sound better, but it will be bigger. But again, at least probably a tenfold decrease from that WAV file. So those are three programs that I would strongly recommend. The audio recorder is incredibly simple and easy to use. The beautiful audio program is really a very sophisticated program for free, and then the MP3 cloud converter to convert to MP3s. Lastly, let's talk about video. So we've gone from relatively small but large JPEGs, and then we've moved up to the much larger, certainly WAV files, but even MP3 files. Now we're going to move to gigantic files, and that's video editing. Now, honestly, if there's a way that you could do video editing on a real computer, and I know Chromebooks are real, but I'm talking about like a regular computer, that's your best bet, because the files are so big and so complex that you just need to have them locally on your drive. However, if you have a class of kids and they don't have their own home computers and they need to use the Chromebook, there are some solutions. Now, a lot of the video editors, they're all pretty simplistic, but many of them will claim to be free. But then when you want to actually render the file or create the file back to you, it won't let you unless you buy a subscription. So I don't think of that as something that you'd really want to use with most students unless your school has a huge budget and can buy all these subscriptions for these kids. A better solution is to use YouTube's built-in video editor. And you would find that if you log into your YouTube account, go to your Creative Studio, and it would be on the bottom left side, it would say something like Creative Options or something. You'd click that. There'd be an audio section and then something that says video editor. You click on your video editor and you get a very simple video editor. Now, although the editor is simple, it will allow you to do things like cut out parts of your video. It will let you join things together with transitions. You can put some text on your video. You can even bring in some photos if you choose to and add some music if you'd like. All very primitive. As a longtime video editor, I will tell you, kind of a pain in the neck, but it's free and it does work. And what you basically have to do is you have to upload your video to YouTube, usually under a private setting, so you don't want the whole world to see it, and then bring that into the video editor. Now, those files, you have to be really careful because, for instance, a 10-minute MOV file, on which I'm doing now, could easily be 16 gigabytes, and that is tremendously huge, and you could wait a day to load that up to YouTube, and it probably would fail. So what I would recommend is a couple of different methods. One method is to go to the upload page, and that actually has a little icon on the right side that says use webcam or something, and you can actually do a streaming broadcast directly into YouTube using your webcam. And of course, that's going to be much faster because it's in real time, and it's a great option if you're just going to be a talking head like I am right now. If you want to bring in some other video from other sources, you have to bring those in also as uploads, and they can be separate actual videos in YouTube, but again, do that as a private setting, and then you can bring them all into the editor. Remember, though, that they're really large in size, so you want to choose your formats and your bit rates very carefully. And what I mean by that is use a resolution no greater than what you need. So you're not going to do like 1080i or something, which is huge. You might even find that 720p is, or 720 even I is too big. And so you have to be very careful to use a low size image and a low bit rate. And most cameras and things will allow that. You also might want to do some pre-editing in the camera if the camera allows that, so you set up the smallest file possible. So those are some tips on multimedia for teachers. Again, I apologize to the teachers if you're mad at a non-teacher giving you advice. If you'd like me to do some simple entry tutorials on any of these programs, put it in the comments below and I'll try to get to that and do it. Very much appreciate a thumbs up for this video if you feel like you can give it. Would like it if you subscribe to my channel, and if you listen to my free podcast, which is called Psychiatric Secrets Revealed with Dr. Mike, you can find it on iTunes. Take care, everyone, and thanks for watching. Bye.